everyone has managed to avoid spoiling, so I will not ruin their legacy by spoiling it. Hi, hello, my name is Trina. Welcome or welcome back. Today we're starting another reading vlog in the hottest possible spot in my apartment for the sake of the aesthetic, so I hope you appreciate it. We have a wintry aesthetic going, and we also have a fantasy aesthetic going because today's reading vlog I want to start is specifically focused on my most anticipated fantasy reading TBR. I say most anticipated. Technically, Assassin's Quest is like my most anticipated read ever, but you're tired of hearing about that in this channel because I keep on not reading it. I have to be in the perfect mindset. I have to be in the perfect headspace. I can't not enjoy this book, okay? So if I am in the perfect headspace during the vlog, we will get to it, but otherwise this is all of my most anticipated fantasy reads other than Assassin's Quest. I have my chai latte, and I have my books. I don't know what order I'm going to take this in. I don't know what kind of mood I'm going to be in for all these, but I know where I'm starting, and that is with my Kindle on Kindle Unlimited. I'm finally going to be picking up The Sword of Kaigen by Wang. I have had this on Kindle Unlimited for like a year and a half. Like since it became available on Kindle Unlimited, I wanted to read this book. And obviously there's been so much hype and discussion around Blood Over Brighthaven recently that I was like, okay, well, I can't read Blood Over Brighthaven until I read the other book by this author already on my TBR. So now I'm like racing with myself to read Sword of Kaigen and then read Blood Over Brighthaven, which I'm very, very excited for. Starting off, The Sword of Kaigen is an epic fantasy standalone that is technically an interconnected universe, but it's been discontinued. So this is a fully standalone fantasy, which, you know, highly convenient when I have so many books to read to not get gripped into another series. It's about a fantasy world in which there are multiple different countries. I think there's a lot of it that's based off of the Japanese Empire, but also just a lot of like East Asian Empire discussions and references. And it focuses specifically on a mother and son main character duo. Obviously there are other characters, the mother's like friends and companions, the dad, the siblings and stuff like that. But the main perspective characters and the main characters whose stories we're following are, I don't know their names yet, but I just know it's about a mom and a son. And the mom used to be like a really renowned warrior, but this is a very patriarchal society in which it was expected that when she got married, she had to put down her sword and that she could no longer be a fighter. And her son doesn't even know. He's now training to be a fighter, like, because that's what the men in their family do. And he doesn't even know that his mom is extremely gifted and skilled in the very thing that he's now studying. So I imagine there is a lot of like internal turmoil, conflict in the world that I don't know about, but I'm really excited to explore it. It also seems like a somewhat character-focused story because of the mother-son dynamic, so I'm very excited for that. I love character-focused fantasy, and just in general, I'm so hyped. I'm also keeping my expectations relatively normal. I know it's a self-published book originally. I don't know if it's gotten an official publishing since then, but I believe it's still like a self-published book. And self-published books, you know, sometimes editing gets a little quirky. Pacing is a little funky, but I'm totally fine with that and looking forward to it either way. The other books that you may or may not have to look forward to for this video is Jade Legacy, which I will take down, which is the final book in the Greenbone saga, the sequel to Jade War and Jade City. Jade War I read in a vlog in February and I loved it. I loved it so, so much. And I'm literally like itching to get back into this world, and I like know if I let it sit too long it'll become like other series that I discontinued, so I refuse to do that, and I really want to pick up this book this month. But I'm also debating between the next book I'm picking up being, I don't want to take it out of here, but Nona the Ninth, which would be a reread, and I don't really know, should I do a reread for a vlog when I just did a reread for a vlog? But at the same time, I feel like urgently I want to reread Nona since everything from Harrow the Ninth is fresh on my mind. Nona the Ninth is also the third book in a series, but it's an incomplete series so far. So there's no rush for me to read Nona, especially since I've already read it. But at the same time, I do still kind of want to pick it up relatively soon so I don't forget everything that I was analyzing and looking for in Harrow. So that's also on the chopping block. And then of course, Assassin's Quest, which is the sequel to Royal Assassin and also the third book in a series. I have 3 third books in a series on this list. See, look at me. I'm finishing series. That's amazing for everyone involved. But Assassin's Quest is the 3rd book in the Farseer trilogy and the 3rd book in then the 16-book Realm of the Elderlings that I adore and I'm kind of obsessed with, even though I've only read 2 books in the series, which may seem odd, but that's really the impression that Royal Assassin left on me, was just that like, oh my god, I adore this. I don't feel like I need to pick up Assassin's Quest so soon, except that I really, really, really want to. I'm so pumped to start the Sword of Kaigen. Let me bring it up on my tablet. Yes, it's right here. It's all ready to go. And I'm gonna enjoy the sunset, enjoy the fireplace, and get reading.
Look at these animal tracks where you can see, I think it's a rabbit, I'm assuming, I think it's a hare, that walks over here, does a big jump over the bush and lands right there with the feet all together and then keeps going. That is environmental storytelling right there.
Good morning. I have been working on the Sword of Kaigen. I'm like 30% of the way through. Not a ton has happened so far, mostly just like setting the stage. I get the feeling like there's a lot of setting the stage to be done because it's a standalone fantasy. So we have to like give the lore and give the background, and I still don't fully grasp how the world works yet. Here, I'll bring up the cover. It feels weird not having like a book to hold. I'm still not fully into how the world works exactly, but I am still really enjoying it. I'm just like studying the map, like waiting to fully understand the dynamics going on here, because I know in the Empire map they have like a broader empire as well, and I wasn't fully able to grasp, and I know like where they're living on the Empire, but I want to know like what the relationship is in the full history. But I think that's intentional because the characters have been lied to. At least the Sun character has to learn what he's been lied to about by his government. And then we're slowly discovering that Misaki, his mom, knows about these things already. And that's really interesting. I love her backstory. I love the flashback sequence we got that feels like a totally different book. Like it feels like a totally different world. I like that dynamic. I like that kind of relationship between like, there's this really action-based story, superhero rebellion-esque, like found family vibe story, but it's in the past and we know kind of how it ends. And that kind of dynamic I just really enjoying. So yeah, I really like this so far, but I can't say that like it's my favorite yet or anything like that because I'm still building the foundations. But I did want to give an update anyways because it's a snow day today. I don't know how well the camera can pick up, but we are having a bit of a snow day. So I think what I want to do is just cozy up in my couch with a cup of tea and make some big progress on the Sword of Kaigen. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Nothing better than a Kindle and a cup of tea on a snowy day. Okay, so I didn't actually start the Sword of Kaigen right away because I wanted to update my reading journal, my travel journal, and do a little bit of cozy journaling instead. But now I have a chai latte, and I have the book. I'm ready to get reading. I kind of thought in the beginning that maybe the sad twist of the book is that the mom, Misaki, and her son Mamoru were always going to be kind of separate because they're so different, because he is her husband's son and she is, like, they don't know who she is, but already 32% of the way through the book, they're connecting in this, like, meaningful way that I love. And I love that, like, even though they're mom and son, we're actually seeing their relationship form in this book, despite the fact that, like, they've obviously known each other since he was born because she gave birth to him. They're only now forming an actual attachment, which I love. There's no way that actually happened, right? I'm so... There's no way. Hi, hello. It's been a few days. I'm so sorry for not updating sooner, but I'm 70% of the way through the book, so that's 450 pages through. What? Like, oh, I cannot believe we still have 30% of the book left. Like, that felt like, well, I don't know what it felt like. I'm shocked and devastated, and I can't give spoilers, and I can't give spoilers, but I can't, like, explain. I can't believe no one who I've seen so many reading vlogs, people reading this book, and everyone has managed to avoid spoiling, so I will not ruin their legacy by spoiling it. But needless to say, I'm shocked and horrified. I love the main characters so much. I hate Misaki's husband. I hate Takaru so much, but I hate him in, like, this incredible way. Like, this, like, the writing shows how good it is in terms of, like, I hate him in this, like, cold way. The same way he is this, like, cold, emotionless character. I hate him in this way that's, like just disappointment. Like, you know, like, where I had higher hopes for him. I had expectations. He is such a powerful character. He's such a skilled warrior. He's the most powerful character probably in the book so far, and yet he's so useless. And it's like this combination of, like, incredible skill and power doesn't actually make a person, an individual, powerful. What makes an individual powerful is their individual, like, goodness and will and, like, leadership and kindness and connection to people around them. Anyways, not to go into detail about every single character about why I love or hate them, but specifically I'm just having big feels about Takaru now because I just read a page where he annoyed the shit out of me. Yeah, otherwise the Sword of Kaigen is incredible so far. A long sequence of, like, fight scenes, and fight scenes aren't always my favorite thing in the world, although it was kind of a nice welcome break from, like, the incredibly frustrating familial drama going on, because, again, I hate Misaki's husband. The flashbacks to Misaki's youth were also really sad and devastating. What the government did when they came to this town that had fought for, like I said, 20% of the book, who had been fighting so hard, who had all of these, like, incredible sacrificial moments, these heroic moments that you want to, like, stick with you with those characters. The way that they disrespect the people there, and the way that then Takaru disrespects the people because he's like, he will follow orders above all else. One, incredible metaphor for everything going on in the world today. Devastating. And two, was just such, like, a spit in the face of those heroic sacrifices that they could fight for, like, probably, like, 100 pages. And it, like, and we are the only ones, it feels like we're the only ones who care. And, like, it's just, anyways, I just think the way that death is written is so devastating and so good, and I'm shocked by how incredible this book is, but also like I need satisfaction. Like I need a satisfying, not like satisfying like they skip into the sunset holding hands kind of satisfying, but just like I demand satisfaction for my characters, okay? But yes, I will continue going with the Sword of Kaigen. In terms of like fantasy vibes, general feelings, I've kind of just been like reading this here and there. So I haven't like gone outside with this book and like read it out in nature like I sometimes like to do with fantasy books to like connect me. So I think I might go for a drive and do some book shopping and connect myself to like fantasy literature. I'm obviously kind of in the middle of nowhere right now, which I'm not used to. I moved from a city and I like being close to bookshops and like community spaces like that and see like what's coming out and what the covers look like. And oh my god, I'm in Europe now. I can look for the EU covers. I think I'm gonna do a bookshop run because I found both a fantasy bookshop and a couple of regular bookshops that I want to stop by. So I think I'm gonna do that and then find like a cafe or coffee shop or something to sit in and finish the Sword of Kaigen. Then continue on with my fantasy reads because this has definitely gotten me back in the mood for fantasy. But like, I don't know if I'll be able to handle the devastation that will be Jade Legacy after the devastation that is the Sword of Kaigen. So let's see how it goes. I finished this book and realized I updated you guys. I updated this vlog at pretty much a terrible part. I updated it at the 70% mark, which is pretty much when the narrative story ends, and afterwards is just resolution. So I was ready for like a final battle sequence, but it's not that kind of book. It ends pretty early on and then just like has like calming both character resolution but also set up technically for characters that are in a discontinued series. So I kind of updated you at a terrible time. I also thought it was I updated you. When I updated you last, I hated Takaru, and literally the chapter after I updated, his like redemption arc began. So my bad. I quite like Takaru now, actually. He ended up having one of my favorite character arcs in the entire book. So my bad. Sorry, Takaru. So final thoughts on the Sword of Kaigen. Maybe it was actually good the way I did these updates, because the first update was kind of at the end of the beginning part of the story where things were very, very slow moving to get started, just world building, just getting us settled with the characters. And I felt like, honestly, the pacing of that first 30% felt like I was settling in for like a 3-book series or even like a longer. Like it felt like we were going very slowly and I was ready to sit with these characters for a long time. And then all of a sudden the climax just kind of happens from the 40 to 60% mark, which I feel like if I had known, then I would have just readjusted my expectations from the beginning. And it's crazy because I knew the pacing of this book was a little bit like different. And yet I didn't know, I didn't really know. So that's why I'm not considering this a spoiler to say that I think you would enjoy this book so much more if you went into that early part revving up for the climax, the final arc of the story, basically, of the action part, occurring at the 50% mark, essentially. And if I knew that, then I wouldn't have been like, oh, that was great, that was so interesting, I'm so excited to see what the actual climax is gonna be, if this like pre-climax is so good. And there was no actual climax afterwards, which just kind of left me like, oh. Oh. But I just think that that's just like a expectations issue, because at the end of the day, I really enjoyed this book. Like, I was reading on my Kindle, but I switched to my phone because I was like in bed last night thinking about it, being like, I have to keep reading, I have to know what happens next. And a lot of the things that happened in that like post-climax, just like last 200 pages of just like settling into the story era, was still really interesting. And I loved all the character beats in that time and the character development. I love everything about where Wang took the characters in this book. Like, the characters are the best part. They're so good. And the setting and the way that the characters interact with the setting is like perfect environmental storytelling. It's just impeccable. It was so good. I just like had set my expectations all wrong. So then I was looking for something different than what I got in those last 30%, when if I had known that what I was getting was more of like a resolutionary era, then I would have been so much more pumped with it, you know? So that was just like personal expectations. I still really love this book. I went straight to Pinterest when I finished it, which is how you know I love a book, because I'm like, I need visual representations of these characters now. It's not enough. I need to see them on a page, not just in my brain. I totally love where they took Misaki's character. I'm a character reader. I love character-focused fantasy, and the Sword of Kaigen was absolutely that. So I loved them so much. And that makes me so excited to start Blood Over Brighthaven. If I had Blood Over Brighthaven right now, I would just start reading it right now. Like, screw the rest of the plans for this video, I'd just do that. But it still has 4 weeks of hold in the library to go, and I'm like 30 minutes away from a bookshop and don't feel like driving there. So we're gonna proceed with the fantasy reading vlog as planned, but just know that I'm so excited to start Blood Over Brighthaven now, and that will be coming up as soon as I can get my hands on it, because yeah, there's something about the characters that ML Wang writes that are just like brilliant and totally enraptured me, and I want more of them so badly. I know the Theonite series that this book is based off of is discontinued. It's not even available to buy anymore. Like, I was reading ML Wang's statement online about like, it was her, like, she wrote it when she was a teenager, like she feels like she wasn't equipped to write the story that she did, which is fair, I guess. But she said that there's always a chance that if she ever did go back to it, she would want to completely rewrite the books. And you know what? Like, if she did that, like, I'd be there. She said, like, oh yeah, I'm in my 20s, so like I'm not gonna do it anytime soon. And I'm like, you know what? I will be in my 60s. And if Emma Wang is like, yeah, I rewrote the Theonite books, I would be there in a heartbeat to know what happens to Azumo and Hiroshi and all of the brothers. But that is my update for that. Let me grab Jade Legacy from the stack. I'm so excited to get into this. Because if there was one problem with the Sword of Kaigen, is it wasn't like a satisfying resolution, because it's a part of a series that was never finished. It wasn't like satisfying. I know that won't be a problem with this. The like 800-page final book to a world that has just like enraptured me. I'm not setting my expectations too crazy. I'm just saying things better get resolved because it's the last book in a trilogy. Yeah, I'm gonna start Jade Legacy either tonight or tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, but ideally I'm hoping to still like devote myself fully to reading this and analyzing it, and I really, really hope I enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Jade War. Like, I really, really hope I do. I have my expectations set so high now, so I will get started with this, and I will read a couple hundred pages, maybe go for some walks, maybe do some other stuff, and then we'll check back in. The fondness I feel for this little island at this point, like this is my child, okay? If anything happens to this island, I will riot. I thought the snow's kind of melting down where I live, so I thought if I came up here, like, I didn't know how much snow there would be. There's still so much up here. I
for my audiobook. I'm listening to Just Mercy. It's devastating. I haven't been able to get into Jade Legacy yet because it feels wrong to read any other book while I'm listening to Just Mercy. So I'm gonna work on Just Mercy and finish it up and then get back to my fantasy reading. We have the 7th year, 8th month, and then 10, 15 pages later, we're the 13th year. So we just had a 6-year time skip that I was not at all prepared for. But okay.
Hello, we've interrupted your regularly scheduled programming because I have an update on Jade Legacy. I could not put this down this afternoon. I'm only putting it down now because I have a headache from reading too intensely into the book, but I've just been reading this all afternoon and I'm absolutely flying through this. I'm currently on chapter 21 already, which is 219 pages in. The book itself is a little over 700 pages, so I'm not you can see, I'm a decent chunk in, but as far as the story goes, I'm not that far in, so I'm not gonna give updates every 200 pages, but I just want to give some initial thoughts and feelings after starting this book, which I was so excited for. I do have one point of shame to admit to, that I have to confess, I have to come clean, because we're all about honesty on this channel. I did search up who survives in this book. Not who survives, who dies, but does this character survive? Does this character survive? Does this character survive? And I took in that information. You're not gonna get it, because I want you to read the series and that'll be massive spoilers. But I was feeling really anxious. I mentioned this morning, I've been reading Just Mercy, and that combined with everything that's been going on in the US recently has just been I'm in a very anxious state, by default. So reading is my way to escape that, and I really want to enjoy these books, and I found that I enjoyed Jade War significantly more knowing who lives and who dies, basic things like that, because I went through the book and people still got injured, side characters I wasn't expecting to died, intense things still happened. But I at least was aware of the biggest of those intense things, the things that caused me the most anxiety, and I gave myself an anxiety-free reading experience. Sometimes anxiety can be really fun in books. People read, I love horror, I love thriller sometimes, but in my current state of mind, this is not how I'm feeling. And I was a little bit worried when I first, because I got 2 chapters in before being I can't deal with this. But now, 200 pages in, I feel it's not interrupting my enjoyment of the story whatsoever, because what I care about in the story is how we get to that point, That's why people read romance, for example. I know there's going to be a happy ending. I care about how we get to that happy ending. Now I know what the ending of this is like. I care about how we get to that ending. Wanted to get that out of the way first, so then I can just talk about how incredible these books are. There are some really significant time jumps, which I just wasn't expecting. When I started the series, I really wasn't expecting it to cover 20 years of time? No, 15 years of time. I don't know how many more skips we're gonna get. So I don't even know, maybe the last time skip will be a 50-year skip, and then all of a sudden that's how much time the whole series will cover. I really didn't anticipate that going in, but it works. I feel like the pacing of the story has slowly been accelerating through the whole series. In book 1, we had a couple week time skips, maybe a couple months max, and it covered about a year of time total. In Jade War, the second book, we covered 3 or 4 years, and I thought that was intense, maybe 4 or 5 years even. But I thought that was an intense amount of time. I was like, damn, we're doing some big time skips here. That was a year time skip. That's crazy. This book hit us right out the bat with a 2-year time skip from the last book, and then right off the back again, a 6-7 year time skip. And now it feels like I'm in a stage where we are skipping like 3 to 4 months at a time, every couple of chapters, which in book 1 would have been really unsettling. And I think even in book 2, it would have been a little bit unsettling. But now I think we've come to a point with these characters and with this world where it makes total sense because you're invested in these long-term projects and you want to see these long-term projects happening. So Fonda just did an amazing job with like getting you attached to the long-term consequences and the political rivalries of the world before getting into the nitty-gritty of it all. I kind of forget that I know what's going to happen to these characters because on a line-by-line basis, I'm still like, oh my god, something horrible is going to happen. But overall, I'm just like, I'm so invested in this world. Like, I forgot how much I missed Janloon, and I forgot how much I missed this setting and this world so much. It's so good. Depending on when you're seeing this, but I'm intending to get this vlog out on like a Thursday or Friday. It might be later than that because I do not want to rush this. I really do not want to rush this. Hopefully it's worth it, and hopefully you don't get this vlog too late. But I definitely probably won't get to the other fantasy books I wanted to read in this vlog, unfortunately, but that's okay. This is for fun, and I'm not gonna like force myself to read books because this is an anticipated books reading vlog, and I don't want to do anything to spoil how much I enjoy these books because I'm so worried about making sure I enjoy them. So I'm sorry for once again potentially hinting that I might be picking up Assassin's Quest, but rest assured I am gonna be reading Assassin's Quest in the next month or so because I did a thing. I saw that Fairy Loot, I think it's Fairy Loot, is it Fairy? I think it's Fairy Loot, is doing special editions of the Farseer trilogy, and I really want them. So I joined their wait list, and hopefully I can get on it in time, or I can get through the general sale, the special editions, but I'm preparing to drop some serious money on those. So I want to make sure I read book 3 first to cement my enjoyment of the trilogy. But sorry, those are other assorted updates. Back to Jade Legacy. I can't really cover a lot of the plot without spoiling, and I don't even want to give character names because then it kind of spoils who survives to this point, because we're like, how many pages into the series are we? I'm like 1,500 pages into the series, so even just telling you character names kind of gives spoilers. But rest assured, the plot in this book is plotting. It's picked up right where Jade War left off, just at a like more rapid pace. And the same way that Jade War had certain big picture political machination plot points that held it together that were resolved by the end, while the overall conflict wasn't resolved yet, this book has been setting up its own individual plot lines that we can see are going to be carried throughout. I'm really intrigued by the clanless faction. There is a new faction introduced in this book that is basically against the idea of Kaigen, the island nation that the book is set on, having clans at all. And clans we really care about as readers. All of our characters that we follow and care about are in the No Peak clan. They've been at war with the Mountain clan now all these books. Therefore, we don't want to see the clans dissolved because like that's what they're fighting to keep. They're fighting to keep their way of life, and seeing people even within this culture who want to change that way of life, we like have an instinctual reaction of like, no, they can't do that. But at the same time, we're also being shown that individual lives can be ruined because of the clans. But then Fonda also does an amazing job of setting up alternative locations in the world, like other continents, other cultures and places that have their own ways of doing things that don't have clans. Instead of clans, they just have gangs, and they're not officially sanctioned, but they still cause trouble for people's lives. So the question we have as a reader is like, well, we can see why people would want the clans gone, but is that actually any better for people overall, like in the long run? But at the same time, clans are like basically organized nepotism systems. So would it be better to have I don't know, gangs that are like pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but like it's a really interesting philosophical question that Fonda is setting out in this book specifically, but we've kind of been building to this point as well throughout the books, and I'm really curious as to how we're going to solve everything. I feel like she's going to want to resolve the more interpersonal conflicts, like the relationship dynamics, and she's going to want to resolve the big no peak versus mountain clan conflict that has been going on all 3 books. And I don't know how she's going to do it, and I'm so nervous because it feels kind of like these books feel so like underdog story, even though we're following like some of the most powerful people in this country, because they're always the second most powerful people behind the Mountain Clan. And I'm getting so nervous that there just isn't a way to have a happy ending for this story. I really hope that's not true. I wanted to give this update before I got too deep, where like my emotional reactions to telling you some of this stuff might give away spoilers, and I don't want to do that. But those are my initial points. I'm gonna put this down for the evening because I have a headache. I've also, fun other updates, I've also been binge watching 911, the TV show. So good. I was not expecting how much I would enjoy even just season 1, which people say is like the worst season, but I loved season 1, so continuing my binge watch there. But yeah, overall, that is my update so far. I will come back when I've made another decent chunk into Jade Legacy, but don't expect very many more plot spoilers than what I've already given, because I'm very committed to not sharing too much about this book other than like my own emotional state. I have to share it somewhere, so prepare yourself.
This might be the last proper snow we get this year, so I'm gonna take a break and go outside and enjoy it. But I did discover, sorry for the wind, I did discover that Jade Legacy's audiobook is on Spotify Premium. So I'm I switched to the audiobook for Jade Legacy while I'm out on my walk. It's so windy. Only 300 pages into this book, and I feel as if I've read like a full fantasy novel. I'm so excited. Like the interludes are so well placed where like each section between the interludes feels like a whole book, a whole story, a whole narrative, and you get to the end of that and you're like, there's still 400 pages left, 400 plus pages. So excited, so excited.
Hi, welcome back. Big updates, big money moves made. For the sake of like time consistency and making sense of the fact that most of the snow has melted outside, sadly, I will say that it has been like a week and a bit since I last updated you. But to be fair, I have a very, very good excuse, okay? I mentioned I started watching 911, the procedural drama about 911 calls. I have become completely obsessed. So I spent the entire last week and a quarter just like binge watching the entire show. I'm up to season 7 now, so I'm almost caught up. And I was like not in the mood to read anything while I was watching it because all I could think about was this show and the characters and the fan content and everything like that. So that's my lame excuse for why I have not been reading very much this last week. But I thought I'd come back with an update because this morning I got back into Jade Legacy for a bit, and I realized it's been a while since I gave you guys a proper update. So I will do that. There's only like 170 pages left, which is crazy to me because there's so much left still to be resolved. Like Fonda is not in the business of resolving things until the very last second. Like I do not know what's gonna happen, but I've been enjoying this so much. And it's been pretty easy to like put down and pick back up because there are clear, distinct arcs in this book. Like, there is the first clanless arc, and then I won't spoil what the other arcs are, but there are like every 200, 300 pages, there's like a set conflict and solving that conflict, and it's really well laid out. And I'm just thinking about how much I would love to see either an animated or a live action TV show of this series, because there's just so much content to have. Like, you could spin these 3 books into like Game of Thrones level, like 6 or 7 series of television, I think, because there's just so much to get into that's really, really incredible. And I'm just obsessed with the storytelling and how much it's picked up. The way that like Jade City, the first book, felt like 1 arc, and Jade War felt like maybe it had 2 or 3 arcs in there, but still. And then this one all of a sudden has like 4 or 5. Anyways, yeah, I'm really thoroughly enjoying that part of it. It has been going, again, like pretty quickly when I actually sit down. I wasn't enjoying the audiobook super much, just because I read the first 2 books without audiobook, and I really enjoy her writing and how quick it goes. While I feel like the audiobook was really slow and it takes you a long time to get through, and I'm like, I want to go through this faster, like I want to see what's gonna happen. I'm assuming with only 170 pages left, I guess it's not fair to make that assumption, but I'm assuming there's only 1 arc left in the book. I'm really nervous about that, but I'm in general just like, I'm just loving where it's going overall. I'm really nervous. I really love how this book also sets up, because it's Jade Legacy, and it nails these titles so well, because this book is so focused on setting up the next generation and what this conflict will be like. And it really takes me back to reading Jade City, which was setting up the current generation and that passing of the torch from their forefathers to them. And now we're kind of passing the torch to like, what is the next generation going to look like? I still think Jade War was my favorite, which was the most in the current generation. Like, it was everything character development for the characters that this series is focused on, versus the first book is kind of introducing, and then this book is kind of like exiting a little bit, because we're on like year 22, I think 18 years of time are being covered in this book, so we're going through a lot of characters growing up very quickly, and their expectations from our characters who are now like well into middle age, which is so weird to think about, because I still see Andon, for example, as like a little baby. Like, I still see Andon as little 18-year-old, 17-year-old Andon from the first book, and now he is like a whole ass adult. I will take you through the last arc of the book, and then we will wrap up this reading vlog. There's only like 30 pages left. Sorry, I'm so sunburned. There's only like 30 pages left. I feel like with how few pages there are left, it's gonna be one of those series that like has the final confrontation, like the final epic moment, and then it just ends. Which I'm not normally the fan of. I want like the aftermath, like what happens after, but it's fine. Good morning. I really need to wrap up this reading vlog desperately. So I'm filming in the morning, even though the lighting is terrible, hence why we're in a corner of my apartment that I normally don't film in. But I wanted to give a final update for the vlog, wrap it up. As I mentioned in my last update, it's taking me way longer to film this than I originally planned. It always does. I say this every reading vlog. I don't know why I'm surprised, but sometimes my brain doesn't want to read. And if I'm specifically doing a reading vlog, it's because I'm really excited about the book I'm reading. And I don't want to force myself to read it when my brain isn't feeling it. So I had to take like a 2-week break in the middle of this reading vlog to binge the entirety of 911. But now that I've done that and I'm back, I sat down in an afternoon and literally, I kid you not, I finished the last 200 pages of Jade Legacy within like 4 hours. I was like, really? Really? I couldn't have put 4 hours aside? 4 hours is like 4 episodes of 911. Anyways, but I wanted to talk about finishing this because it's so good. It's now been like a day or two since I finished, so I've had time to like sit with it a little bit more. Like when I'd freshly finished, I was like divine, unstoppable, perfect. I still think those things like about the series as a whole. Like if the series was one book, it would be a 5-star book. This is still a 5-star book. I feel like I'm starting the tone of this update off wrong. This is a 5-star book. This is incredible. The way that Fonda Lee writes each of these eras in each of the books, starting with Jade City, where it's basically establishing the city, establishing the setting and the conflict. Jade War, we're establishing the type of war that occurs in this world and how and where those battles take place and in different forms. And then Jade Legacy, we have about the long-term consequences of those battles, the long-term results. And this book covers, I think we end up like 20 years of time. I think the main characters, like the main siblings from book 1, are in their 60s or 50s. So we've really sat with them their entire lives, their entire adult lives. And that's such a special feeling to like have built this like bond and connection with these characters that I had so many feelings about when I was finishing. And Fonda Lee also does an amazing job, I think, of establishing their children characters as their own people as well, without making them the new protagonists. You know what I mean? Like, the series is about the original siblings. And although this book is Jade Legacy, it's about their legacy, aka their children, the next generation, what they've built and what that will look like going forward. And we do get perspectives from some of the children. They aren't protagonists in the same way as the original characters are. They aren't necessarily shaping the course of the world or the story yet, but it's mostly just to give us an insight on what are their personalities like in comparison to their parents, what kind of leaders will they be. And I think she does a really good job in balancing that. I would have liked a little bit more from Jaya. One of the daughters, I feel like, didn't get as much time. I know it's a 700-page book, like she was running out of time to put everyone in there, but I just feel like there were some of the children that could have gotten a little bit more. And then I also felt like there wasn't a ton of more development to be had by the lead characters, because they had been developed. Like, they were at the end of their lives, like they were developed people. So now it's just about them seeing through the final actions of their life's work, which is special in and of itself. With all that being said, I do think Jade War is my favorite. Like, I think Jade War is the book in the series that is like 6 out of 5 stars, 10,000 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. This is a 5-star book. Loved it. But because I have Jade War to compare it against, then I'm like, okay, Jade War is my favorite in the series, then Jade Legacy, then Jade City. But I think you should absolutely read the entire series. I think this finale absolutely does it justice. You get to see the final conclusion of everything that's happened in the series so far. You get to see how it all wraps up. It's just so... It follows through so well on everything. The one other thing that bothered me a little bit, Andon and Lot should have ended up together. Sorry, I don't make the rules. That was kind of what was hinted at this entire series. Andon doesn't even get like a proper romantic conclusion compared to the other characters. That upset me. I know romance is not the point of the series, but I'm like, I had feelings about that in particular. So that was like one personal feeling that wasn't seen through. But everything else slayed. I was also fascinated by the through line of this one character who has annoyed me in the previous books. Like, he's kind of like a perspective character we get outside of the family, and he's like kind of been sabotaging the family as just like a regular dude this entire series, and I kind of was waiting for him to like get some karmic justice. But the final confrontation with him and one of the next generation boys who are like, he's like, I did all these things to your family, don't you want retribution on me? And one of the kids in the family is or he's so dismissive. He's like, you really think you have any sort of power over me no matter what you might have done in the past? Like, so sassy, so side-eye. And I kind of like that resolution even better than like him having some sort of like big execution. They were just like, with all the problems we've had in these 3 books, you think you are our biggest issue, we don't care about you. So I thought that was really an iconic way to wrap up that storyline. And it kind of is like in theme with this entire book, which is these siblings have done what they needed to do. You can see that even if there's other conflicts that come up, other problems, they're going to be building, any solutions they create will be building on these same foundations now that this original family, this generation created. And that's like a special thing in and of itself. If you like family stories, organized crime, or like political intrigue balanced with action and character building, I think this series is perfect. You should absolutely read. Clearly, because I've read 2 of the books on vlogs recently, I want people to read them. I think the first book can be a little bit harder to get into for me. Like, it is a lot of building. Maybe pick the first book up in the series when you're in the mood to like be introduced to a new world and like learn about like a new world and fall into a story in that way, versus the other 2 books are way more like you already know these characters, you already know these locations, now you just get to watch them kick ass and take names for 2 books. And I love that. I love those 2 books. But yeah, that is the end of this reading vlog. I only read 2 books, but they were both really special books to me, so I'm glad to give them their moment in the sun. I will get to my other anticipated fantasy reads in the next month or so. I might make a reading vlog for that. Reading vlogs take a lot out of me because I feel like a certain amount of pressure to read at a certain pace, and my brain does not appreciate that, let me tell you. I don't know if I'll do as many reading vlogs as I've been doing the last couple months, but maybe I'll try to do like 1 a month or something like that for like my most anticipated books of the month and see how that goes. But overall, I read The Sword of Kaigen and I read Jade Legacy. I definitely think Jade Legacy is a 5-star read. Sword of Kaigen was like a 4.5-star read, in which I got just as emotionally invested in the characters in Sword of Kaigen as I did in the characters in the Greenbone Saga, but because Sword of Kaigen exists in kind of a weird place in its own universe and world, then it just doesn't necessarily have that like 5-star writing full circle feeling to it the way that like the Greenbone Saga does. But I just really enjoyed both books and I had a lot of fun, and I highly recommend both of them to fantasy enjoyers. But yeah, I think I'll leave it off there. Thank you for being so patient. If you watched the end of the video, thank you. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Toodles!